Have you watched this movie?
Apocalypse Now is a 1979 American epic psychological war film directed and produced by Francis Ford Coppola. Apocalypse Now is loosely based on the 1899 novel Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. The film follows a river journey from South Vietnam into Cambodia undertaken by Captain Benjamin L. Willard, who is on a secret mission to assassinate Colonel Kurtz, a renegade Army Special Forces officer accused of murder and who is presumed insane. Colonel Walter E. Kurtz has received great respect from the natives and they regard him as a god, so this task is not easy. And the most important thing is that during Captain Willard's mission, we can see the various aspects of the war, and how the mental conditions of the soldiers change because of the war.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
Schindler's List is a 1993 American epic historical drama film directed and produced by Steven Spielberg and written by Steven Zaillian. It is based on the 1982 non-fiction novel Schindler's Ark by Australian novelist Thomas Keneally. First of all, this is a true story and based on the Second World War. The story revolves around Oskar Schindler, a businessman who has become rich from the labor of the Jews. Understanding the tragic fate of the Jewish employees who worked under him during the Nazi massacres, he tried to use his wealth and power to free a group of 1,200 Jews. The humanity of Oskar Schindler, which stands out among the most inhuman acts of killing people by the Nazis for fun, manages to bring tears to the eyes of the viewers at the end of the movie. Saving Private Ryan is a 1998 American epic war film directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Robert Rodat. This is called by many as the best war movie. The film begins with a true story and a major turning point in World War II, the Normandy landings. The story of the movie, which manages to show the horrors of war in the first 10 minutes, then moves in a different direction. It includes a touching story about a group of soldiers who travel through enemy territory in search of an apprentice soldier and their eventual fate.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
A film by Stanley Kubrick, this is a creation that clearly shows the war mentality and the effect of war on people. The first half of the story, which runs in two parts, revolves around a group of apprentice soldiers in a training camp under the tough officer Gunnery Sergeant Hartman during the Vietnam War. The second half gives the viewer the opportunity to experience the Tet Offensive and the horrors of war, how a soldier named J.T. Joker Davis, who was in that camp, later works as a war reporter.
Have you watched this movie?
Platoon is a 1986 American war film written and directed by Oliver Stone. It is the first film of a trilogy of Vietnam War films directed by Stone, followed by Born on the 4th of July 1989 and Heaven and Earth 1993. The film, based on Stone's experience from the war, follows a U.S. Army volunteer serving in Vietnam while his platoon sergeant and his squad leader argue over the morality in the platoon and of the war itself. And here, the barbaric actions of the American forces against the Viet Congs, how they have to fight with the dangerous beasts in the side they are fighting against rather than the enemy side. And how the Viet Congs and the natives who supported them fearlessly continued their fight even though they were enemies.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
Das Boot is a 1981 West German war film written and directed by Wolfgang Petersen, produced by Günter Rohrbach. It has been exhibited both as a theatrical release and a TV miniseries 1985. During the Second World War in 1942, the story revolves around the crew of one of the U-boats, one of the German submarines, which posed an extreme threat to the navies of the Allies, including Britain. The threats they faced from the Allied naval forces and how they faced them are wonderfully depicted here.
Have you watched this movie?
The Great Escape is a 1963 American war film, with elements of adventure and suspense. The film is based on Paul Brickhill's 1950 non-fiction book of the same name. This is a film about the Second World War. Here it included a clever plan to escape hundreds at a time from a high-security German POW camp and how to do it successfully.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
The Pianist is a 2002 biographical war drama film produced and directed by Roman Polanski. Based on the autobiography The Pianist, the extraordinary true story of one man's survival in Warsaw, 1939 to 1945, Polish-Jewish radio station pianist Władysław Szpilman, separated from his family during the Nazi occupation of Poland, hides in the ruins of Warsaw to save his life. The efforts and merciless actions of the Nazis are brought to us in this film.
Have you watched this movie?
Letters from Iwo Jima is a 2006 Japanese-language American war film directed and co-produced by Clint Eastwood. It is a film about the Battle of Iwo Jima between the Japanese Empire and the United States during the Second World War, from the perspective of Japanese soldiers.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
Flags of Our Fathers is a 2006 American war film directed, co-produced, and scored by Clint Eastwood and written by William Broyles Jr. and Paul Haggis. It is based on the 2000 book of the same name written by James Bradley and Ron Powers about the 1945 Battle of Iwo Jima. The 5 Marines and 1 Navy corpsman who were involved in raising the flag on Iwo Jima, and the after effects of that event on their lives.
Have you watched this movie?
The story takes place in Clairton, Pennsylvania, a working-class town on the Monongahela River south of Pittsburgh, and in Vietnam. Michael, Nick and Stephen, 3 friends in a small town in Pennsylvania, spend their weekends hunting deer as a hobby, and due to the sudden outbreak of the Vietnam War, all 3 of them have to go to Vietnam to participate in it. This is a work that clearly shows the fate of these 3 who became prisoners of the Viet Cong after a number of terrible incidents, and the fate of their friendship and bonds, and the effect of war on low-income ordinary people, and how their thoughts change because of the war.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
Quentin Tarantino's excellent work. This is a movie based on the Second World War. It was a time when the Nazis were invading countries and progressing victoriously. A group of American Jewish soldiers known as Bastards, who come together to brutally kill the main leaders of the Nazis, and a movie theater owner whose sole purpose is to take revenge on the Germans, organize together and launch a Nazi assassination plan. Running in between is a film showing the activities of a Nazi colonel who is mercilessly hunting Jews. Here, it has been shown how Hitler was killed in a different way, not in the way we know.